leaders here, my mentors that have promoted me over the years, like they sit and talk with me like a normal person. Like I'm talking to my cousin at a Christmas party. Like honestly, that's one of the things that's most important is like connecting with your direct reports, with the staff. And it makes people trust you. It makes people want to work with you, not for you. They want to work. They want to work with you. They want to make things better. So you have to have that passion. But unless they trust you, it doesn't always work out.
Hello, and welcome to Success in Chaos, a healthcare podcast where each episode is dedicated to unlocking success amid constantly changing environment and uncertainty of healthcare. I'm Angela Adams, the CEO of Inflow Health.
And I'm Candice Garcia, owner of Tungsten QI Partners and Quality Improvement Director of the American College of Radiology Learning Network. So today we are very excited. We have a guest, David Facchini, who is the Director of Radiology and Biomedical Imaging at Yale New Haven Hospital. With a background in technology and a passion for improving care, David brings a problem-solving mindset to one of the nation's leading academic medical centers. David is known for developing technology-enabled quality improvement solutions that strengthen patient safety, streamline communication, and support better outcomes. At Yale, he has helped launch a radiology communication command center that transformed how critical results and follow-ups are managed, which has improved reliability while reducing risk. David is widely recognized for understanding the complex intersection of technology, patient outcomes, and ethics in modern healthcare. His work continues to shape how health systems use innovation to deliver safer, more accountable care. Now, I got the privilege of meeting David, about 10 years ago through the Radiology Improvement Summit at Stanford. I think at that time we were both just quality managers in radiology. And it has been such a privilege to watch David grow through his career at Yale. Welcome, David. Thank you for joining us today.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, we like to start every podcast with letting our audience get to know a little bit about you. So we're going to start with 2 truths and a lie. So you can try and trick us, but we're pretty good guessers.
Okay. So I have some good ones for you guys. When I was 5 years old, I had a picture of me taken at Kmart. That was one of those stock photos, and that comes in a Christmas frame. Another one, I'm an avid pickleball player, and I've participated in semi-professional events in the Northeast. And my other one is I am a landscaping enthusiast who spends a lot of time working on my equipment and my property in my spare time. Did I stump you guys?
I don't know that you have a lot of spare time, but I
That's what I was just going to say. I was like, when?
I can actually see you being a competitive pickleball player. I don't know that you have a lot of time to spend in the yard. Candice?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I was like, that sounds lovely. That's like my dream too. It's like be out in the garden. But yeah, we're going to say that's the lie.
No, I am not an avid pickleball player. I actually stink at pickleball. So, that was my lie.
Oh man, so you are a yard enthusiast and you're in a Kmart frame.
Yeah. My parents still have the picture hanging over their mantle. Yep.
That's amazing. You were the stock picture. That's so good. What a claim to fame, David.
I know.
I mean, from Kmart frame to Yale, what a trajectory. So really great to have you, and so glad I got to meet you this year at the ACR Quality Conference. I think what we would love to do, if you're open to it, is start with a legal case.
Yep.
And get your thoughts, I think, with your expertise of what you've built at Yale around incidental follow-up, just detection management. You kind of built it all before tech was really even in the space. So I want to kind of get your perspective. I'm going to tell the story, and then we just want to kind of ask you some expertise questions around this of like, who's responsible? Like, what are the ethics behind this? And how did you build out your program kind of with all of this in mind? So 50-year-old patient goes to the emergency room, severe abdominal pain. They're trying to figure out what's going on. They end up doing a CT of the chest and abdomen. They realize she has acute appendicitis. They obviously need to take her to the operating room pretty much emergently. They set all that up. She goes through surgery, the recovery, all of it. 10 months later, she goes for her regularly scheduled mammogram. They find out she has a lesion, but when they look back, they realize that lesion was actually present and reported in the emergency department 10 months ago. Radiologists clearly called out lesion, breast lesion, malignancy, ASAP follow up, and it just completely falls through the cracks. So now you've got a radiologist that may or may not work for the health system, right? Because we've got that going on with the radiology shortage. You've got the emergency room physician that obviously did the right thing for the emergency. You've got then the hospitalist staff and the surgical staff that covered the patient while she was in the hospital. Then you've got the primary care somewhere in there that never got notified that she was there.
Mhm.
So where does the responsibility of all of this fall in the hospital, and how do you go about, like, unwinding this?
I know. I mean, this unfortunately is I'm gonna be a little, obtuse here, but this is a standard case that we see in papers, in articles around the country, and I'm speaking from the imaging space, but it's healthcare right now and how it exists when it comes to complex incidental findings. So, like, the responsibility, honestly, and how we sold programs here and built things here, it's on everybody. Yes, it lies with the patient. Yes, it lies with the provider, but patients are busy in their personal lives. Patients don't understand the results. Providers are busy. So it's our honestly, it's the healthcare industry's responsibility because we went through cases like that here. We went, I've read papers of similar cases, and I think people, media, they like to place blame on somebody, but like it's a part of our healthcare system that's broken. So it's so important for programs to develop to tackle this. And it's in for our program here, it's health system wide, it's service line wide. We took ownership
Mhm.
because we felt passionate about it for radiology and our team, but it's everybody. And it goes on the patient as well. But the patient has responsibility up to a point because they don't understand what an incidental finding is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interestingly enough, and I'll just finish that case, that was a good friend of mine. Her name was Jill, and it's the whole reason we started Inflow Health.
Wow.
She ended up never even knowing about the lesion, so if one person, she was another nurse, so if one person would have mentioned one thing to somebody in her family, even if they would just said it verbally, like, "Hey, not right now, but, like, make sure that you go get follow-up on this breast lesion," it would have been done. And so she ended up having metastatic breast cancer at that point, and it had traveled to her brain, and she struggled through, like, a year and a half of just hardcore, like, treatments, therapies, and unfortunately, she passed away, in 2021, but I mean, that's the mission, that's, like, the why behind everything that we do is, like, I don't feel like it's fair to the clinicians, right? We're expecting them to be heroes every day to catch things like this rather than putting tools and technology and process in their hands to make sure that this doesn't happen. Because I can tell you this, any clinician that gets pulled into a room to talk about an RCA on a patient like this, they're broken. They're brokenhearted that, like, this happened.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
I think that's,
Can't
that's based on the foundation that, we all healthcare workers, we go to work to do a good job. We go to work to care for our patients. And actually, it's because of these healthcare workers that more patients are not harmed because, we rely on our staff to pull those strings together to fill those holes and to fill those gaps. But this one, especially with incidental findings, it is a known gap. It is a known issue, and it is incredibly difficult to solve. I want to know, David, when you kind of got started in this area so many years ago, how did you convince your organization that this was a problem? How did you get people behind you? Because this takes the entire organization's effort to make happen.
Yeah, I mean, we started the conversations and the planning in like 2017, 2018. So pre-COVID,
Yeah.
vendors didn't really exist in this space. Yeah, there was some vendors that existed, but no one had a great comprehensive plan. So what we did was we had really had to do we did a study that was actually we got a grant and we had a system called Montage and we studied with NLP internally at Yale. We studied 200 randomized exams that our radiologist did say needed a follow up. And what we did is we quantified how many of those patients actually got their imaging after, and then we actually quantified how many of them never did and then went to another organization because we had done some research with some of our teams at the university and it was like 58.7% of the patients didn't get what they needed. So
Gosh. Wow.
we had a system we called critical and incidental results in radiology. We were fortunate to have technology, but there was no follow-up mechanism besides of course our providers, which they did a great job. So we took a stance and we had said to the organization, like, we want to take this and we also want to be the service line that helps everybody else close the loop. Like there's an incidental, then we want to follow it right through up to a patient letter saying like, hey, we tried to contact you, you never had imaging, you know, this is our last attempt. So we wanted to follow it right through to the patient saying like, let us help you. And so how we did that, we built a business case because everybody knows in this healthcare environment with what's going on in the country, people are resource constrained, capital constrained. So the only way I thought we would be successful is to show an ROI, which I
Yeah.
know healthcare is all about quality and outcomes, but it's also about at least breaking even, if not generating revenue, to invest back in the healthcare system, equipment. So I constructed a business plan that required FTE resources, technology resources, but it had an ROI, which is one of the
Yeah.
most important things to, spending 6 and 7 figures on resources for a program like this.
Yeah, you hear
Yeah.
that.
You may,
No margin, no mission, all the time, like, and it's true, like, we have to be good fiduciaries of the money that we do have in order to run the quality that we want to run in healthcare, and that's just the kinda sad state of it.
And
Um,
I get in trouble all the time here because I'm asking for millions of dollars in equipment and more staff, more MRIs, more CT. So I need, 10, 30, $50 million to refresh equipment. So we need to be conscious of that as an organization. And I needed to
yeah.
bring that business case to them saying like, you know, this is important, but also I can bring these scans back, scan the patients and help them. And it's going to be good for our organization as well.
Yeah. I think that is in quality, we have so much desire to like do the right thing and we want to fix things to do the right thing. And this is one of those special projects that when you do the right thing, it also supports the business. And that is, it's that's a special project. And that's a special initiative for an organization. Tell me, you went about kind of building this on your own. This was kind of before the tech and we had a lot of vendors in this space. How did you go about doing that? Did you specifically build it? Like, how did you find the expertise? I hear a lot of organizations, even now, saying, like, I think we can do this ourselves. Like, let's not go with a third party vendor. Let's just build it ourselves. Like, how did you do that?
Yeah, we engaged our EMR vendor. At the time, there was no we hadn't been approached by any outside vendors that actually specialized. So we engaged our EMR vendor and built a custom program, but it needed intensive FTE resources. So I think
Yeah.
in current state, we run I think it's 10 FTEs with leadership. There's leadership in the center, but
Mm-hmm.
we run
Mm-hmm.
24/7 because this group also does critical results as well as incidentals. But we built it with our EMR vendor and they built like a queue and a trackable program. You know, in our EMR, you can message internal providers, you can send alerts, have them have signatures. So it was all homegrown EMR built that costs a lot of money. We hired consultants and it costs a lot of FTE resource time as
Yeah.
well. But that's how we did it because 2018, 2019, it didn't really exist as much as it does now.
Yeah. And how long did that take? Like from when you started this project and you started getting everybody together, was that 6 months?
You're saying to build a program in general?
Yeah, to build,
It
yeah.
was like 4 years.
Oh, yeah,
Yes, 2017,
yeah,
2018, we started doing the research. We didn't go live until after COVID, and COVID probably stalled it, but I think it was
yeah.
about 4 years from when I said with our team, like, "Let's do this," and I had great partners, like Candice knows Dr. Jay Bahade here. He was our
Mhm.
quality vice chair, like, everybody supported it, but so from, like, 2017 to, like, 2021, 2022, somewhere in that time frame, so it was, like, couple 4 years. Yeah, crazy.
Wow, that is
Let's talk
crazy.
let's talk a little bit about culture and culture of change and everything that you need around a quality initiative. I'm sure you've spent countless hours here, but technology can do a lot. Culture can kill a lot of things.
Yeah.
So, what part do you feel like when you learn from like your clinicians, your IT, your projects, your quality initiatives, like what part do you feel like culture plays in all of this?
I mean, culture is huge. I even still get messages from providers like our team does that, like, you're bothering me too much because we do send multiple reminders until something's closed, right? So the culture has shifted here, but it's still that culture still exists. We have so many providers in our system. So yeah, culture is one of the biggest pieces. I mean, we're going down the road of a project now. I think I talked about it at the ACR conference in San Diego of basically like judicious MRI and CT ordering. Inpatients that don't need to be done as inpatients,
Mm,
that don't need to be done at all. But
the problem everywhere.
it's a huge culture
Yeah.
shift. It's like the ordering providers in radiology in general, like we don't want to ask physicians or question their practice, right? But there comes a point where we need to try to make our resources spread our resources farther. We have such a high demand of MR, CT, and nuclear medicine. So culture is huge. We need a culture shift in many things in healthcare. But in general, for incidental findings, I mean, you need to change your culture all the way up to your CFO for the resources and your CMO saying like we're gonna tackle this. Like we have to do this.
Yeah.
So
When you talk
fast.
about that
Go ahead,
I
Candace.
no, no, you go. No, you go. When you talk about that culture shift, does that like at your organization, did that come from the front line? Did that come from the middle management? Did you get like a new C-level leader that kind of shifted things? How did that shift start to take place and how did it grow?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we had our Jay's support. Jay's our vice chair of quality. We had our chairman in radiology support. I think honestly it took pushing. We had a new executive director that was hired for the whole health system. His name is Dan
Mm,
Alexa. He came in and he had looked at it with me. I think they had a program similar to this in his organization. So I think with Dan coming in and Jay and our chair helping push, and I think there are cases that come up often in healthcare, and I think there were cases that we had looked at here and be like, we can't let this happen here. So I think it was honestly a mixture of there was some new leadership, but also just like pushing the vice president of regulatory. There's regulatory implications to this. We had
Uh,
our financial implications. So like I think it took just like persistence and pushing mixed with my leaders. I have great leaders in radiology. They supported us right through the whole process to the end of this.
so you're now in 2025. You built a manual process, but if you are coaching, somebody comes to you and you're coaching somebody today that's a director of quality or even director of radiology for a health system, how would you guide them? They're trying to start a new program. Like what would be out of all of your knowledge and instilled kind of
Yeah,
experience that you've gained? Well, and we're in a totally different technological space. Where do you where do you send them now?
yeah. I mean, we even ourselves are exploring vendors in this space. So I think don't reinvent the wheel, right? So I think people need if depending on the resources, right? Like, what's your budget? Do you have an ROI? But I think investing and using a vendor because of all the NLP and the AI that exists now.
right.
If you need to build it quickly, if you have litigation cases, something that prompted you to do it, I think that's the way to do it. The FTEs, I still think are important because our program here, we make physical phone calls, we connect with patients. So you can do that through a platform as well. But yeah, I think it's a mixture, but I think the vendors in this space are really expanding their technology. So I think it's a huge way to go.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about, usually we do this at the very beginning, but I know a bit about your background and I think it's so cool that you went from technologist and you're all the way kind of to the top today. So talk to us a little bit about that and maybe inspire few people on the phone. We've got people that are technologists listening and we've got leadership listening, and I think you have a really cool inspiring story.
Yeah, it helps so much in this industry to be a frontline clinical employee. I actually started as a transporter before I was even in
No
radiology school.
way.
So I was a transporter and then went to school and I worked in radiology as like an aide. But yeah, I transported patients and I loved that job. And I've always had, the passion for speaking with patients and the interaction. So I think that translates all the way up to this role as an executive. And I try to round and be with our staff, at least
Love
once or
it.
twice a week because we have so much going on in the industry in general. But here we're so big. I think there's like 56 facilities, 56 cost centers that I'm responsible for. I try to get there and see the staff. So it translates into the work because I can sit with a technologist in the ER here, which is a massive place,
Yeah.
level one trauma center, one of the biggest in the country. And I can say, like, I worked here. Like, I know, I've been involved. So when we have initiatives, right, like gaining efficiencies with staffing issues, I can sit with them. And I think it helps. I mean, it's something that like one of my godfather actually said to me that he was an administrator, he was a superintendent, and he used to say to his teachers, like, I sat where you were, like I know what you have to deal with. You never sat where I am, so trust me, like I was one of you, but now I need to make decisions at a different level. So
Yeah.
I love that. I
Yeah.
feel like some of my favorite leaders just in my career have been people that have worked all the way through a system. I mean, some of my favorite CEO leaders, just like you, started in transport or, somewhere in the hospital where um they kind of know from the bottom up the experience of the health system, and it just makes you a different kind of leader.
yeah,
Yeah. I think it also touches on some of these other conversations we've had from these leaders across healthcare is that, the success that they have is based on relationship and connection and humility and a real understanding and empathy for one another. And it sounds like that is the kind of leader you are as well, David. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
we've talked a lot. Well, we've talked to a
you got
lot of leaders. Candace's point that have said authenticity in leadership is like one of the number one things that
yeah.
they count as like a skill set and a competency that you have to have today. Um, would you agree with that? Is there anything you would add to that list as far as core competencies of leadership today in hospitals?
No, I think you hit it. I mean, the one thing that I try to tell all of our people, especially being like a younger executive, is you have to be just like transparent. And I know people always say that and it's corny, but like transparent, you have to be like a normal, like go and sit with them and talk about your kids, their kids. Like to me, that's what my leadership style is. And my leaders here, my mentors that have promoted me over the years, like they sit and talk with me like a normal person. Like I'm talking to my cousin at a Christmas party. Like honestly, that's one of the things that's most important is like connecting with your direct reports, with the staff. And it makes people trust you. It makes people want to work with you, not for you. They want to work with you. They want to make things better. So you have to have that passion, but unless they trust you, it doesn't always work out.
That's amazing.
Mm.
I love that. Um, Candace, what do we think? Book
You know,
recommendations?
yeah, I'd like to know, what should we read? What should we learn?
Yeah, I actually have a few things even beyond books because I feel like when I give book
Yeah.
recommendations, they're always like nerdy data books that well, people don't
We
always.
don't look behind here.
So one of the things is really interesting. Very recently, at one of our leadership kickoffs, um, there was the CEO of Not Impossible Labs. His name is Mig Ebling. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of him,
Mm-mm.
but
Mm-mm.
he came and spoke. So sometimes you honestly need motivation just beyond healthcare. So this guy's had a motivational talk. It was one of the most inspiring things. So it's called Not Impossible Labs, and on the website he has all the stories. I think they've written papers. They've been published by the New York Times, but it's all
Mm.
about like motivation. They take problems from different countries and they make prosthetic arms. They add,
Wow.
they make these vibration devices for people that are deaf that can feel music. It's amazing. So I would definitely
Mm.
recommend checking that out.
I love that. Something different. That's
Yeah.
cool. Sometimes too, we just need motivation at the end of a tough week. We just
Yeah.
need something to go listen to be like, there's hope here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Actually, I
then
think
putting on
that's the
my
thing
yeah,
go ahead.
go ahead. Thanks.
I think that's what we all need in healthcare right now.
Yeah.
It's a tough place to be. There's lots of patients. There's lots of care to provide, and there's not enough staff. And I think when we have hope through like the darkest times, that's when we can find, the light and the path
Yeah.
forward that serve us all.
And honestly, giving
Yeah.
the other thing is giving a plug to Candace's crew, Dr. David Larson, who you guys had on. But whether he knows it or not, he's like one of I strive to be like David Larson, and
I
all
know.
of their programs that you guys have out there, the right program, it's on YouTube. Anyone in healthcare, not even just radiology, because David's a radiologist, but it's it's guided Jay and I here for the last 10 years. Like we met Candace and David
Mm.
and team 10 plus years ago in Palo Alto, and we have only grown because of groups like that, people like David, he's so passionate and he's so humble, but he's funny. Like we talked about leadership style. So just giving a plug, and if you haven't checked out anyone from their team's resources like the right program, or it guides you in the healthcare world for quality and safety. I can't honestly say enough about that crew.
Oh,
We
thank
all
you.
we
We
all
do
love
it with
it.
you all. Yeah.
Yeah, I
We
know
all love
everyone
Dr.
loves me.
Larson. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
One
I feel
at the ACR QI conference, like the final speech, I was like, tears were streaming down my face. I wanted to like stand up and like I looked around me at the end of his speech and people were speechless.
yeah,
They were just like, yes, he said all of the words about the future of radiology. And it was just I want everybody to listen to that speech. I was like, did anybody
yeah.
record that? Anybody?
yeah. I know.
You know, he does it all the time. He has a way about him. But we all benefit from it. Like David said, we've been together in radiology quality for the last decade. There's a kind of a core group of us who are just kind of pushing forward and trying to make change across the nation. It's such a privilege to be at the ACR Learning Network right now, where we get to bring these organizations together and we get to collaborate and we get to problem solve together. And that was Dr. Larson's vision, and we're all kind of a product of that. So,
Yeah,
it's just wonderful to be a part of. Well, thank you so much for being here, David. It was lovely speaking with you. And yeah, we'd love to keep up with you and what you're working on in the future as well. So we'll have to have you back.
definitely. Yeah.
Thanks,
All
David.
right.
Good to see you.
Thank you both.
All right. And thank you for joining us on Success in Chaos. Please be sure to like, follow, and share today's episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. And a special thank you to the Inflow Health team for their production support.